In the previous demo, we built a workflow with SharePoint Designer that rejected or approved new products based on their selling price. In this demo, however, we will create a workflow with Visual Studio. So I can choose from a Visual Studio SharePoint 2010 template, and I will choose sequential workflow, and we'll call it Approve Reject Products. We will choose to use the intranet site for debugging, and instead of creating a list workflow, I'm going to create a site workflow. And this is a workflow that is not associated with lists or libraries in SharePoint. This is one of the brand new types of workflow supported by SharePoint 2010. So when I have clicked Finish and been through the wizard, we have our workflow designer. Now I can drag and drop activities from the toolbox, and in this case I'm going to include a code activity, a sequential workflow code activity. When I double click it, I am taken to an event handler for executing code. So I can start working with SharePoint objects just as we have done in previous demos from web parts and so forth. What I'm going to do is declare and instantiate an SPWeb object called thisWeb. Now I'm going to obtain a reference to the products list, so I can do that very straightforwardly with an SPList object variable called products. And I will set it equal to thisWeb.lists and then the string products, which is the title of our list. What I can then do is iterate through each item in the list, so that's why I built this as a site workflow rather than the list workflow, because I want to run this at will to validate that existing products as well as new products have an appropriate price value. So we can iterate through the items collection, or the SP list items collection more specifically, of the products list and start working with the data. We will do something very simple to start with in this demo, and we will compare the selling price of each product with a hard-coded value just for now. So we will pass as a double the selling price and we will compare it to a numeric value. We will say that if it's greater than $4,000, we can start working with the moderation information. So this is a concept of whether the item is approved or pending or rejected or denied. So we'll put a comment in of price too high if the selling price is higher than $4,000. And we'll set the status to denied, and that's part of the SP moderation status type enumeration. We then must update the product item. So every time you make an update to a field value or its moderation information, as we've done here, we should include an update statement to commit the values back to SharePoint. Now we can make a similar block of code to say, well, what should we do if the selling price is not greater than our hard-coded value of $4,000? We will say price OK in this case, and we will set the moderation status type to approved. So we will be approving these products that are in our price range. So let's build and deploy this workflow. It's very straightforward and a very simple workflow, but we will come back and make it more compelling in future demos by adding initiation forms and so forth. But this will get us started at least. So notice we have these two bike products. One is approved and one is rejected. The rejected item had a value of $3,500, which previously was too high. But now our hard-coded value of $4,000 should allow that. So we can create a new site workflow in the intranet.contoso.com site, and we will base it on that template that we've just deployed. And we are creating a workflow on that template now called Approve Reject. So we can do this very easily with the browser interface. And when I click OK, there's our workflow called Approve Reject. So let's go and find it as a normal user would in the Site Workflow section of the Site Actions menu. And as we start the workflow, now look at our product, Sportbike 2010, which was previously rejected. It's now been approved, as have all of the products because their value is less than $4,000 in this case.